the way the United States engages, and I'll be specific to the Middle East, is fundamentally flawed and problematic.
How should we understand the movement known as Islamism or political Islam?
Should we be thinking about these issues as transnational, or are there also particularisms of the history of individual Arab states?
There are multiple sources of religious interpretation, from the internet to non-state actors. It's a competition now.
ISIS, Qaeda, all these extremist violent groups. The majority of Muslims abhor these groups, denounce them as completely un-Islamic and having nothing to do with Islam.
We are therefore extremely pleased to be hosting this event today and welcoming back Dr. Ahmed El-Hamle, who is the president and founder of Trends Research and Advisory in the UAE.
I firmly believe that the politicization of religion, any religion, is deeply damaging to our societies and preventing us from living in peace and security.
All the Islamist groups share one ultimate objective: the establishment of what they call the Islamic State.
If you believe that politicizing Islam or political Islam is no different from democracy, it's a contradiction in terms. When Islamist parties talk about democracy, they really mean something very limited.
Did not include embracing any notion of, a really democratic openness.
If more Arab countries could move from authoritarianism to good governance, then I think the Islamic debate would be looked at in a very different context.
I don't believe that there is a Muslim world. There are different countries, actually, West, with their own geographic contexts and very rich and multicultural and diverse societies. And when we engage them, we should engage them as these societies, not as the Muslim world, because this pushes forward, again, an Islamist worldview that a Muslim world exists, and therefore we should strive for some sort of Muslim state.
Violent Muslim extremists represent less than 1% of the population. They take up a lot of the policy debate because they really do pose the most immediate threat.
Several years ago, around about 2000, I was speaking to a member of the Dawah Party who insisted that the Dawah Party was democratic, that they wanted democracy and so on. And I said, okay, well, what about, women's rights? What about freedom of religion? He said, well, no, what we believe in are the tools and mechanics of democracy. But democracy is much more than that. And if we're talking about Muslim values, then democracy also has values beyond elections.
Jefferson believed religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God. With this in mind, he continues, the legitimate powers of government reach actions only and not opinions. The idea of religion being core or central to government is something I firmly believe we have to reject. As Jefferson stood, the power of government cannot extend into what we believe as part of our faith.
Question is Islamism compatible with liberal democracy? I think that's a definite no.
The simply Muslim Brotherhood suggested themselves as a political power after the revolution. Egyptian people had decision to give them an opportunity to rule Egypt and to be a part of the democratic regime. What happened is not just only mistakes, it was a clear plan from the Muslim Brotherhood to control the Egyptian state and to have their own system from their own point of view. It's not democratic at all. They don't believe in democracy. This is our experience in Egypt with the political Islam. We couldn't judge on the others' experience in other places, but simply in the Middle Eastern countries, we don't have any experience of political Islam that reaches the power and leave it after this in democratic way.
Religion, belief, faith are essential parts of our lives and identities, but when religion, belief, and faith are manipulated for the pursuit of political agendas, significant problems arise.
The Constitution in one article says that no laws shall contradict the tenets of Islam, whatever that is. And the very next article says, no laws shall contradict democracy. And we have over and over again found that the two are contradictory.
When we look at the body of legal texts in the region of laws, it should be, I think, an evident conclusion that perhaps we need less Sharia, not more. And finally, that Islamism is fundamentally a political issue. It's a battle over how society should be governed and how the world should be. It can only, therefore, I think, be countered by an alternative liberal political project. These movements do not occur in a vacuum. Violence is fundamentally actually a question of methodology, not necessarily ideology. And what I call the common Islamist worldview is what keeps alive in the region archaic and, to say the least, problematic notions about the need to establish a caliphate or some sort of an ideal, pure Islamic system in whatever form Islamists decide it comes in.